Hi, welcome to another episode of Just Saying With. And today we're just saying with Tom Simpson.
Hi. How you going?
So eager to begin. And that's the thing, right? Because this is the first face-to-face interview I've got to do since 2 years ago when we launched this podcast with Misha Tate. The pandemic hits and it's done. So I'm just as excited as you are, Tom. Thank you for joining us today.
It's very exciting, isn't it? Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thanks, Tom. So, Tom, all right, tell me a little bit about yourself, Tom. What is it you do? And what do you do?
Okay, I lead AdColony in Asia Pacific. So AdColony is the largest global app marketing platform. And because we're really involved in apps, we are really focused around mobile gaming because most of the time that consumers spend in apps, when they're not in Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, they're playing mobile games. And they spend about as much time playing mobile games as they do with, doing all the kind of social stuff. So that's what I do. I lead the team across the region, work with tons of big brands. So lots of big brands starting to invest money in advertising within mobile games. Mm-hmm. Google, Unilever, Coca-Cola. Everybody's very excited about gaming right now, as you know, and the Metaverse as well.
Yes, the Metaverse. We keep hearing of the Metaverse. We're going to get into the Metaverse in a bit. And maybe
in a bit, because that would suck up the entire podcast.
Exactly, yeah. But, I like to keep the things a bit more people, a bit more human. Tom, a bit about yourself. What's your background? Have you always been an advertising person?
Okay, I was thinking about this the other day. I came into working life in my kind of, in my mid-20s at the beginning of the Web 2 era. Okay. So just as the big platform giants like Google and Facebook and Amazon were starting to kind of show their faces, and we were starting to understand that we were moving into the Web 2 era, the platform era. And one of the things about Web 2 is the key monetization model for Web 2 is advertising. All of those big businesses of Web 2 are advertising businesses, Google, Facebook, whatever, and even the ones that aren't. So, Amazon started off not as an advertising business, it's an e-commerce platform. But actually Amazon's, built out across loads of things. But one of Amazon's biggest revenue streams now is advertising. And in the Web 2 era, advertising is the central monetization model. And we see that most of these platform businesses trend towards advertising. So I came into the workforce at the beginning of Web 2. I was really interested in the internet and how technology is changing the world. And I kind of got sucked into marketing and advertising because that's where all the action was. That's where all the fun was. We're coming to the end of the Web 2 era and moving into the Web 3 era. A lot of that is heralded by gaming. And again, the Metaverse is growing out of gaming. But I've just always been interested in how technology is changing the world and human existence, really.
So, great point. And one of the conversations that, I always seem to have, not that I want to have, but it always seems the way that the conversations go is the evolution of gaming. We can talk days and days about from how it's now become a career for people that choose to be an esports professional.
Yeah.
How it's evolved, the Metaverse. But my question to you is, so now AdColony, how do you think advertising has evolved over the years? So we all know the Mad Men era. We've seen it on TV. Don Draper, what he did, that carousel thing, the Fujifilm, that's not going to work in today's, in today's platforms. The way we deliver information is different. How, in your perspective, how has advertising evolved with the advent of gaming?
Okay, that's a really big question.
It is.
I'd probably jump back to that analogy around Web 2, Web 1, and then even before that. So, media for hundreds of years, probably thousands of years, if we count people kind of sending smoke signals as media. But media was broadcast.
Yep.
And in the TV in the era of TV and newspapers and radio, it was very easy as an advertiser. You had a limited number of ways of getting your message out to your target audience. And it was very standardized and it was quite simple. And there was a lot of focus around using those opportunities in the most creative way possible because the media options were quite simple: TV, press, radio. With the advent of Web 1, we introduced another channel to the mix, which was obviously internet advertising. And then Web 2 completely blew things up and changed things. It's the advent of the social era. Media moves from being a broadcast channel to a two-way channel, a conversational channel. And what that meant is that advertisers had to completely change the way that they thought about advertising. They had to be conversational. They had to think about how to co-create with consumers. Huge changes coming in with Web 2. Web 3 will herald a new set of challenges for advertisers as they grapple with, advertising within games. What do they think about the Metaverse? How do you connect with consumers in the Metaverse? How relevant is advertising as a medium for connecting with consumers in those, in those environments? So huge changes.
And so, for myself, or for Just Saying as a media platform, advertising is what keeps us alive. And we've seen the way it changed. But in gaming now, right? We all know product placement in movies. What is it that AdColony does that's quite different from the traditional advertising model?
Okay, so AdColony specifically, we have a format which is rewarded video. Okay, so, and the way that it works is you're a consumer, you're playing a game, you run out of lives and you want another life. And you have an option. And we've all been there. You can either pay, in-app purchase to get another set of lives, or you might have run out of coins, or you want a cool sword so that you can kill more demons. You can either pay for that thing, or you're offered the option of watching a video to get that thing for free. So we call that rewarded video advertising, and that's what AdColony does. It connects brands with those opportunities to place videos in front of consumers. And consumers absolutely love rewarded video advertising because they get that thing that they wanted to for free rather than having to pay for it. It's a much more, it's a permission-based kind of conversation. It's a much more kind of 21st century way of advertising to consumers. I think, when I'm on YouTube, I don't get a choice. I just get an ad pushed in my face. In the same as on TV. I have to sit there and sit through an ad break, and I don't have any choice about that. With most media, I'd love the option to actually not, to be able to pay or to watch the ads and, for it to be my choice. And for anybody who's got, if you've got kids or, if you're in a relationship, you know what the difference is between kind of giving somebody a choice. Do you want to pay for this thing, or do you want to watch this ad and get it for free? Totally up to you, your choice. And that just frames the entire thing in a very different way for consumers. So consumers are much more receptive towards, videos that are placed in that rewarded environment than videos that are, maybe delivered as pre-roll or whatever.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm a gardenscapes fiend, I'm always building my garden in my home. But I think you've touched on a very important point there. When it's fed to you on, say, a streaming site or TV, when it's an ad break, you take a TV break. It's time for you to go to the toilet, wash up, make yourself a coffee. You're not there sitting, watching the ads. In fact, the ad is a time for you to take a break from the TV. But you're right. So when I do choose to watch an ad, I'm actually watching the ad. Chances are I'm actually watching the ad, rather than, oh, this is my phone, I'm going to go away for 30 seconds.
You're absolutely right. And you're kind of right. There's a funny story which I often tell to make that point, but thank you for making the point for me, which is that the biggest drain on the electricity grid in the UK ever was at half-time in the England versus Germany World Cup semi-final in 1990, as the 28 million people who were watching the game got up to put their kettles on and make a cup of tea at half time. So yeah, you don't necessarily sit and watch the TV break. But I mean, TV advertising is still incredibly effective, and a lot of people do sit and watch it. But yeah, I mean, it is one of the advantages of having that rewarded experience is it's on your phone, you've got the user's captive attention, and there you go. Yeah.
No, but you're right. It's choice.
Yeah.
Because I choose to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And chances are you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that is the evolution of advertising.
Yeah.
But I like the way you're advertising now as well. I see many different forms of advertising, which is some almost, or basically it is product placement. Is that something that you're going to move into in terms of in-game, when you're playing a game, I see billboards and things like that are real advertising.
I mean, there's so much to talk about there, and the opportunity for creativity within advertising and gaming. I think the first thing that advertisers, marketers, brands need to get their head around is that the ad is not on a screen on the other side of a room anymore. It's literally in the palm of a consumer's hands on their mobile phone, right? Yeah. And that's a big jump. I mean, so many advertisers still think just in terms of video and creating a video and then putting it on a screen. So it's in the palm of your consumer's hands. And what do we do with our mobile phones? We tap, we touch, we play, we swipe. That's it. That's what we're used to doing. So the opportunities for advertisers to interact with consumers are huge. So the first thing to say is, we've evolved the way that you think about advertising from just showing videos to, can you do interactive videos with elements where you can, kind of stop and start within the ad. Playables, so can you create games and put those on a screen in front of the consumer? And then getting into the stuff that you're talking about with posters within games. I was chatting to somebody about this last night, was explaining, we call it native in-game advertising. He was like, no, it's not native in-game advertising, it's digital virtual out of home. So, I mean, it's out of home advertising, it's poster advertising in a gaming environment, but in the metaverse. So, I mean, that kind of native in-game where you're walking through a world and, that ad on the building in front of you, we can put an ad in there, we can populate it with whatever we like, and we can do it based on who you are as well, so we can make sure that the ad on that building is relevant to you. But, I mean, that experience, that space that you're walking through, that's the metaverse. So this is poster advertising, in the metaverse, which I think is incredibly exciting.
To me, it's like the Truman Show. I mean, that's what it is to me, right? In very, very, very layman terms, super simplified. I mean, product placement. How are the brands adapting to? So you mentioned about the Googles and the big companies that are coming on board. How hard was it? Is it now like a big part of the marketing budget?
Is it standardized?
But I would think so for the Googles. I mean, I would expect if you're a tech company, this is where it's going. What about the more traditional marketers?
I think most brands, when they come to gaming for the first time, they got three kind of big questions that they're asking. And I think the first one is, are my customers there? The second one is it safe? I mean, this is gaming. They've got a kind of instinctive sort of, I'm not sure that gaming feels quite right for me and my brand. And then the third one is, okay, if I want to do it, it seems quite complicated, so what do I do? And I think those questions are very common and very easy to work with. So, I mean, the first one about, are my customers there? I mean, 80% of consumers in Asia Pacific play mobile games on their phone. So, every type of consumer is there within a gaming environment. One of the biggest gaming audiences is mums. And mums spend so much time playing Candy Crush or hyper-casual games, snackable stuff in between doing other bits that, maybe they've got to do, work and, and family care, whatever it is. So huge kind of audience of mums. So, yeah, I mean, your audience is there within gaming. It's just finding the gaming segment that's right for your audience. I think the second part of it is, is it safe? And I find that an absolutely brilliant question from advertisers who spend so much money on kind of Facebook and YouTube. Because I don't know if you've looked at the type of content that's on Facebook or YouTube recently. I'm not sure that I'd really want my brand appearing next to
TikTok.
that. Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, that's an interesting one. And obviously there's loads of filters you can put in place, and Facebook and YouTube are great platforms, and blah, blah, blah. So, they've got relevance, but, gaming is, it's predictable. You know what environment you're going into, right? You're not going to have loads of, social kind of controversial content. It's a game, and you can choose which game you want to be in.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of a younger, edgier brand, then maybe you want to go in something like Fortnite, which is a shooter or whatever. Okay, maybe that's comfortable for you. If you're if you're a friendlier kind of brand aimed at mums, as an example, going back to that audience, maybe you want to be in Candy Crush and you want to avoid the shooters because that's the right context for you. So, I mean, is it safe? Broadly, yes, and totally up to you.
I think it was 5 years ago when I had a conversation with my mum that she was now a gamer. The same thing that she used to tell me, don't do it, stop playing games.
Yeah.
And now she's become the gamer.
Yeah.
And you're right, everyone is gaming right now. So let's now move in the final segment, that big beast that we all call the Metaverse. What is... Okay, so I spoke to a couple of developers recently, and in the last podcast, you can check that out. And everyone's saying the Metaverse is not something that's for the future. It's here, it's now. Parts of it is already here.
Parts of it are here, definitely.
Right? Someone might just walk up to you with a red and blue pill. We're not sure. Are we really in? Are we already in the Metaverse?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But what's advertising going to look like in the Metaverse? Where do you think the Metaverse is going to take and change advertising once again?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, the Metaverse is... I think people see Mark Zuckerberg doing his announcements about Facebook changing their name to Meta with a pair of VR goggles on, and they think that the Metaverse is a destination that you go to when you put a VR headset on, and that's what the Metaverse is. It's a 3D world.
Is it Ready Player One?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that's what the Metaverse is. I think, first of all, the Metaverse will not only be on virtual reality goggles. It will be distributed across a range of screens. So, I mean, you're already on the Metaverse if you're playing a game on your mobile phone, but, I mean, it will also be on the big screen in the corner of your room. It will be on, we'll probably get smaller kind of augmented reality goggles or lenses. It will be on smart watches and devices. So the Metaverse will be on screens all around us distributed. Okay, so it's not just that kind of virtual reality experience. So in a sense, it's already here. But I think actually, the Metaverse is more than a destination, and people have got to get away from that idea that it's a destination. The Metaverse is, and I saw this written the other day, the Metaverse is the moment when our digital lives tip over into becoming more important to us than our physical lives. So before we had all of these, mobile phones, tech devices, whatever. I mean, we had a physical existence here on Earth. As our mobile phones do more and more, we place more and more importance, and we put more and more time. I mean, the amount of time that consumers spend looking at mobile phones, it's 4 hours and up per day in most markets globally, and more in some markets. So we already put a significant amount of importance against that kind of digital world. As screens become more prevalent, as we have those glasses, augmented reality goggles, spend some time in virtual reality, as smart devices with screens on become more prevalent, we will spend more and more time in that physical world. The other switch that will take place is, we will put more importance against digital objects. So, in 10 years' time, a prediction would be that Gucci will probably make more of their revenue from selling skins or shoes or virtual handbags in the Metaverse than they actually make from selling stuff in the physical world. So we'll all shift our attention to the importance of stuff that we own in that digital world. We can already see it with NFTs. So Web 2 was about buying things online. Web 3, the Metaverse, is about buying online things. Okay, so that's more important to us. So we'll just put more importance against it. And that moment when we shift over to placing more importance on our lives our digital lives and physical lives, that's the moment where we arrive in the metaverse. And that's the shift. So it's not a destination, it's a state of mind.
And I think the one thing that we can all agree on, and especially for the gamers in the audience, the meta keeps changing. Right? So I don't think there's a fixed meta to this metaverse yet. But yeah, it's just so interesting. And the truth is, I'm not sure if it's just me, the more I think about it, the less I understand sometimes. It's kind of like trying to catch smoke or grains of sand kind of thing, because there's just so much going on, to a point where everyone says that the possibilities are infinite, it's endless, and that makes it even harder to understand sometimes. Sometimes that you just want to tell me what it is.
Yeah. But I don't, and I think that's a really good insight, and I think everybody feels like that. I feel like that. I don't have any kind of clear definition of exactly what the metaverse will be, exactly what the monetization model of the metaverse will be. It will become apparent over time, but, we can be clear about what the metaverse is not. Yeah.
So when do you think we would have a clearer understanding from an ad perspective, from where you are in your industry, your field? When do you think we're going to see the first significant change?
I think, we're already seeing it, in gaming, and that's why it's so exciting for me personally to be within gaming, and why I went into gaming and advertising, because the metaverse is literally being born in gaming. The first places where people are hanging out and spending time in a metaverse-like way are within games. Kids play Fortnite, but they don't go to Fortnite to play Fortnite anymore. They go to Fortnite to hang out, chat with their mates, watch concerts like Travis Scott, whatever it is, Ariana Grande. So it's not just gaming anymore. It's kind of that hanging out in that space, and that's what the metaverse is. So that's cool. So so we can see it starting within gaming. And so some of the things that we're seeing now, as I talked about, that virtual out of home, and then kind of promotional stuff, NFTs, the way that Ariana Grande uses the space in the metaverse. That's where we're starting to see it now. I think when it starts to become a significant factor, it's probably it's at least 5 years away before any brands are going to have a significant idea of how to execute within the metaverse.
Yeah, and I think that it's simply an evolution of things that have already been around for a long, long time. So for me, myself, I'm a big MMORPG guy. I started way back in Ultima Online, and then tried almost everything, and I landed in World of Warcraft. Yeah. And you're right, that's when we attended concerts. In WoW, we hung out with our guildmates, and I was on a RP server, a role-playing server, and you
hanging out in Discord.
Yes. Yeah. You hang out in Discord. Yeah. So
Discord is the social club for the metaverse.
Exactly. It's changed so much since it first launched, and recently when I was looking at all the features or different things that people are doing on Discord now, blew my mind. I got lost. I'm like, this is not the app I remembered, because at first it was just a voice chat, something that you just used to chat with your other guildmates, and now there's so much going on. Very interesting.
Yeah, I spend a huge amount of my time now in Discord, because I play games, but I also spend a lot of time looking at NFTs and trading NFTs, and Discord's where it's at.
Fantastic. All right, Tom. Last words, closing statements. What do you have for us? What can we expect from AdColony coming up in the future? What should we fans, people in the industry, what's the one thing that we should look out for?
What's the one thing that we should look out for from AdColony? We've just been acquired by a big and exciting American business, a NASDAQ company called Digital Turbine. That will just that will mean it's fantastic. But that will just power up everything that we're already doing. But I'm expecting more innovation and creativity in terms of products next year. I think investment around virtual digital out of home, those kind of areas are obvious spaces where any business that's involved in advertising within games is going to want to sit. So lots to look forward to.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tom. And yeah, join us. This has been Tom Simpson from AdColony. Thank you very much for joining us from
Awesome.
the first face-to-face just saying with that we've managed to have in a long, long time. And let's just hope for a better world and that we can meet more people face-to-face again. So thank you, Tom. And thank you for saying with us for Just Saying With.
Cheers.